What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 81. This is going to be part 2, and today we're going to talk about the week that was in week 11. Now, my normal co-host is under the weather and quarantined at this point. He's dealing with a lot right now, and his voice is absolutely gone. So, pinch hitting for him and pulling the double header tonight is from Denver, Colorado, Jason Ashby. Jason, thanks so much for pinch hitting for us tonight.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Ben, please feel better. I'm going to see you guys in like a week, so you guys got to get this shit under control. And I'm always happy to talk baseball with you. Always happy to talk bigs with you. It was a great first show with Mike earlier today. Did a quick wardrobe change, quick dinner, and now I'm ready for part 2. Let's get it going.
Let's get going, boys, and we're going to talk about this week. But first, a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. Jason mentioned it. He's flying into New Jersey and New York here very, very soon. We are going to the Brooklyn Cyclones on Saturday. We are going to the New York Mets next Monday to face the Milwaukee Brewers. If you haven't already voiced interest or gotten tickets, now is the time to do it. We are in Section 3. Section 10. Damn it. Where the hell are we? Either way, we're going to be in Brooklyn. It's going to be awesome. Come to Coney Island. It's a tourist destination. As for the Mets game, we are, in fact, in Section 514. So that is the important one to remember if you want to come see us in City. That all being said, let's dive into this thing. We have ourselves the first matchup between my co-host Ben and Frank Bucco that was just a barn burner on Sunday. Let's see what we have.
This was crazy. This was a crazy matchup.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Now, on Sunday, Ben led by 2 runs. He led by the double, the homer, 3 RBIs, and batting average was tied. Now, the home runs were also tied, and Frank took all of them. Everything I just mentioned, Frank took on Sunday because he had one of the most ridiculous Sundays I have ever seen. He also went ahead and tied relief appearances on Sunday when Ben had a 1 relief appearance lead. And when we look at what happened this week, you'll understand what his thought process was. Ben put himself in a position to win. It's just the weekend was way too strong from Frank. And this is one of those weeks that you just put your palms to the sky, shake your head, and go, this was not a good week to face this guy. On Ben's close categories this week, Ben wins by 12 ticks on the on-base percentage. Frank wins by the double, 2 homers, a strikeout, and an error. And they did tie in the relief appearances, as I mentioned. For Ben on his bench this week, he goes 13 for 59. That's a 220 batting average, 3 runs, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, a steal, 6 walks, and 15 strikeouts. The only thing that plays is the 2 doubles. But I'm not going to sit here and nitpick when on Sunday he's got the lead in all of these things, and Frank puts this thing together. In order for Ben to even make this close on Sunday, he needs to play Kike Hernandez and Randall Grichuk, and that's it. Because that would flip the doubles category. That would also flip the strikeouts category. And if we're honest, nobody is only playing Kike Hernandez and Randall Grichuk when so many of these talented dudes are on his team. He's got the batting title. He's got both batting champions from last year. He's got a dude hitting 400, and he's got Juan Soto. Come on now. Like he's not benching out those guys. His transactions this week, he dropped Brent Suter for Tim Hill with a clean 2-inning relief appearance. He dropped Brock Burke for Trent Grisham and dropped Tim Hill for Taylor Walls. Each of those guys gave him a 1 for 4, a double, and an RBI. He dropped Walls and Grisham for Curtis and Cisnero, both relief appearances. Dropped Cisnero for Brian Baker with a clean relief appearance. He dropped Baker for Tim Hill, who did not appear. And I think if he's honest with himself, that's the one he wants back. He just wants to make a different selection of a guy to get a relief appearance in. Instead, he drops Tyler Rogers for Nick Ramirez, who gives him a relief appearance. Tyler McGill for Carlos Hernandez, who gives him a relief appearance. And that's pretty much it. He did not want to break down as much of the roster in order to get this thing done. Because at the end of the day, he's still, 26 games over 500 after this? And he's sitting in third place. Don't need to destroy the team in order to win 1 week. He's got his eyes on the prize. He's got his eyes on the playoffs, and this is how it's going. This is how he played it out. He put himself in a position to win. He could not do anything against Frank Sunday. Nobody could. Ben's key players this week, we're going to start with Carlos Santana, 368 and a 381 on base percentage, 3 runs, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Kike Hernandez, a 143 with a run and an error. And he has been trying all year to keep Kike Hernandez out of the lineup when he believes he's going to error. And this was one of those times where errors were close, didn't want to fight that, didn't want to end up having to just give up on that. And Kike is not the greatest hitter, but he's doing enough for Ben this season to make him a worthwhile play. The Cy Young this week, I'm going to split between Michael Wacha and Ranger Suarez. Suarez, 7 innings, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 086. Wacha, 6 2/3, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 075. The Cy Young, well, guess what? Ben threw to a 179 ERA. So we're not exactly going to find a guy who threw to a 12 or a 15. Instead, we find Nick Ramirez, who gave up 1 run in 2/3 of an inning, which is a 1350, but it's only 1 earned run.
Yeah.
For Frank on his bench this week, he goes 4 for 16, which is a 250, a run, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. None of it matters. And for his moves this week, he drops Emilio Pagan for Joe Mantiply, who gave him a 3-inning bad relief appearance. He dropped Mantiply for Vest with a clean relief appearance. He dropped Colin Holderman finally for Donovan Solano, who hit a 3-run homer. But Jason, Colin Holderman was the piece in the Stephen Kwan trade back in April. And here we are, the middle of June. He held on to this guy. I don't think we can get upset about that trade anymore, can we?
No. Look, I mean, he's on the injured list now, so it makes sense to finally drop him. But he's been good, for a surprisingly good Pirates team. If there wasn't a David Bednar, maybe he's a guy getting save chances.
And, not for nothing, the Pirates could, in theory, say, you know what, this has been a really fun season, but maybe we wait 1 more and we trade off Bednar. And what if that is the case and Colin Holderman all of a sudden becomes the closer there? Wouldn't be the first time a Mets castoff became a closer, Paul Sewald. Rafael Montero.
Not a chance.
Yeah. He drops Will Vest for Ian Jabot, who gave him a relief appearance. Dropped Aaron Savale for Sam Long, a clean relief appearance. Does drop William Contreras, his 9th-round catcher, for Luis Garcia, who, guess what? He's streamed the triple. 2 for 4, a triple, a strikeout, and an error. The error obviously doesn't matter since he won the category. He drops Anel De Los Santos for Brennan Bernardino, who was postponed, then dropped Bernardino back for Joe Mantiply, and now a clean inning and 2/3 relief appearance. He drops Chris Davinsky for Tommy Kahnle, who was the 26th relief appearance and came in and tied that thing up. An inning, 3 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. He drops Bryce Miller for Sam Bachman, who did not appear. Dropped Luis Garcia for Angel Perdomo, who gave him a relief appearance. And finally, dropped Cody Bellinger. Now, let's talk about Cody Bellinger for a minute here, Jason, because this is a guy who has had a pretty nice comeback season for the Cubs. And you pointed it out. He's now playing first base.
Yeah. He started each of the 4 games he's been back since the injured list. He started at first base. That's not nothing. And look, the Cubs don't really have an answer at first base. Trey Mancini is nothing. They optioned Mervis back down to AAA, so he's gone. So this is Bellinger's position now, and it allows Christopher Morel and all these other guys to get into the lineup more often and keep Bellinger out of the outfield. Look for a big second half of this guy.
That's huge. And he's on a 1-year deal. Christopher Morel has already obviously taken over the center field job. And if Mervis can figure it out in AAA between now and the deadline, I could see them moving this guy for a prospect, just a prospect. And if he finishes out the year well, he'll get a really nice contract in the offseason. He's still what, in his mid-20s? There's no reason
like
he can't.
28, something like that.
Yeah. There's absolutely no reason this guy can't contribute next season for a team. That being said, Frank did tell me that the reason he dropped Cody Bellinger yesterday was that Cody Bellinger's lineup came out really early because he plays for the Cubs, and the Cubs play a lot of day games. But Kyle Schwarber was on the bench at this moment, and he didn't want to have to make a decision between benching Schwarber for the afternoon game and play Cody Bellinger. So he just dropped Bellinger, left Schwarber, and so be it. It turns out to be the right move, but now Cody Bellinger is going to end up somewhere else, and let's hope that that doesn't hurt him somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
As for his key players this week, let's talk about the trade piece. Michael Harris to Electric Boogaloo. I will call him that every time he puts up a line like this. 556 with a 536 on base, 8 runs, 2 doubles, 3 bombs, 9 RBIs, 2 steals, and a strikeout. He gave up Brendan Donovan and Yenier Cano for this guy. I think as of this moment, he's won that trade as well.
Yeah, I mean Donovan had a good week, but not that.
No, I mean, who did?
Yeah.
Like I said when the trade happened and last week on the show, I don't necessarily like the piece that Frank gave up in Donovan, only because he already has Goldschmidt, and that's a nice 1-2 at the top of the Cardinals lineup. But if he believes in Michael Harris, then obviously this was what was going to happen for him. So congratulations, Frank. You found the right guy there. Yeah. As for the least valuable player, it's Francisco Lindor, who stole a bag, hit a homer, got a double, walked 3 times. He wasn't bad. He was just the worst of these guys when everyone hit.
Yeah.
As for the Cy Young, man, this one hurts. Yuri Perez is actually really good? Are you kidding me? 6 innings, a win, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0.50. The dude has an ERA south of 2 and is facing Toronto this week. This is going to be the big test for him, is it not?
I think so. I mean, so far he's faced mediocre at best teams so far in his career. His worst start came here in Colorado, which can be excused. But I think this start against Toronto at home will be a big test. If this turns out to be a good start for him, I think this kid's locked in.
Well, I'll tell you who wasn't locked in. It was Bobby Miller, who ended up having his worst start of his major league career because he had also been lights out to this point. 5 2/3, a loss, a bomb, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, an 11-12, and a 176. Not a great start from him, but overall it was a fantastic week. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull up Sunday here and show you exactly what I'm talking about with this ridiculous day that Frank pulled out of his hat. Look at this thing and tell me how exactly Ben Nisman was supposed to compete with a team that hit 425 with a 489 on base, 15 runs, 4 doubles, 2 triples, 4 bombs, 16 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, and only 1 error. And the error really doesn't matter. Juan Soto just went yard for the second time in this game. I'm watching the Padres and Giants.
Oh my goodness.
Benji is a happy camper with the second bomb out of Soto tonight. But this line is one of the most historic lines that Ben and I can possibly remember over the time that we've been playing in the bigs. This is to have it on any day of the week is something, but you want to have this on a Sunday? That's just downright unfair.
Yeah, that's like you said. How do you compete with that? What do you? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do with that.
Absolutely not. It's just one of those weeks that it is really good to be Frank Bucco, and whoever he was facing was going to get annihilated. The thing about it is that Ben was able to mitigate so much of this because he put himself in such a good position. He dominated a lot of the pitching categories, and the ones that he didn't were the ones that he wasn't going to try to get. He wasn't going to try to get innings. He wasn't going to try to get strikeouts, not when he's pitching as well as he is. Now, I do have notes from our esteemed commissioner as he is under the weather. Duvall, of course, on the bench Sunday because he didn't expect the Giants to sweep. And having won the first 2 games of the series, yeah, maybe you do think, all right, relief appearances are tight. I can get a different guy in if I bench my closer. And it turns out that he gets into the game and the Giants do end up sweeping. Okay, maybe you should have played the closer. I understand the thought process and I understand the logic there. It's not faulty to go that way.
And that's the that's the gambit, right, of playing relief appearances is you pick up a guy like Tim Hill who hasn't pitched since Wednesday. So yeah, you think by Sunday he's got to get into a game, and he doesn't. Like, who knows? You don't know what's going on in that bullpen.
Exactly. And it could have been anybody coming out of that bullpen, but Duvall just happens to be the guy because the Giants are winning and it's close. The circumstances around that have to be just right in order for him to be able to come into that game. Benji, up until Sunday, I was benching hitters really well, and the ads I made Sunday at least tied relief appearances. I couldn't do much more to stop his offense on Sunday, but even Saturday he broke out as well. Also, if you look at my Monday, I had a lot to climb out of. And I'll go ahead and pull that up as well, because Monday, obviously, if it was a bad Monday for Ben, and yeah, 087 with a 160, that's not exactly a great thing to start with, especially when your opponent goes 312 with a 353. So he was digging out all week, set himself up to win the week, and just got dump trucked by this like massive weekend.
And it's got to be frustrating, right? I mean, you pitch to a sub-2 ERA with essentially a 1 WHIP over 50 beautiful innings, and it doesn't mean much.
And you hit 11 homers, and you drove in 32 runs, and you scored 29 runs. And you hit 275. Like, all of these are winnable
on
things.
Base. Like, yeah, and
all of these things are winnable.
Yeah, and it just makes it so much more frustrating because it kind of means not nothing, but it doesn't mean as much as it would if you actually won the week.
Right. And listen, for Frank, he is just absolutely on cloud 4 right now because he's in 4th place. I would say cloud 9, but he's not in 9th place. Like, he's on cloud 4 right now. And this is the highest we have seen Frank in the standings since he came into the league in 2019. He started off in 1st place at one point and immediately fell down the standings like many rookies do when they first come in. If you get a hot team in the beginning, that's great. I look to Matt Losey as somebody who did exactly this season, had 2 weeks of really hot baseball and came down to earth.
Frank did the exact same thing. Right?
There you go. That's another perfect example. It happens to a lot of rookies. Frank has taken his time in finding his footing in this league. And if this is the season that he's finally putting it together, I'm really hopeful he can put himself into the playoffs this year.
Right now, the way he's playing, the way he's going, I don't see a reason why he can't get into the playoffs.
He's absolutely just playing out of his mind. He's put together an unbelievably good team and has put together a couple of really savvy trades. Stephen Kwan, Yuri Perez, Alex Bregman, Michael Harris. I mean, these all are going to be contributions for the rest of the season. Now, whether or not they keep this up, we will see. But for right now, Frank is looking pretty damn good right now.
Yeah.
And as for our commissioner, listen, he's 26 games over 500. We're not going to sit here and cry into our computers over Ben Nisman losing a week. this guy knows how to bounce back. This guy knows exactly what it takes to become a champion. And a 3-time former champion is going to take this one on the chin, go back to his corner, and come out fighting in the next round. So I pity whoever he's got this week, because it
That would
might be a really
Henry Collins.
Ooh, Henry, it might be a bad week to be facing Ben Nisman right now, because not only is he playing incredibly well, but he's also pretty pissed off about this Sunday that just happened to him.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
oh man.
I would not want to be anywhere near Ben right now.
No. It was one of those Sundays where he's just throwing his palms to the sky and going, what else could happen here? And then another triple happens, and then another homer happens. And it's one thing when you're getting dinked and dunked to death, but the entire roster just crushed the ball. Michael Harris went 5 for 5. Let's pull up Sunday here, because it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. One more time, we need to take a look at this thing.
We do.
Michael Harris 5 for 5 with a bomb. He got 4 bombs from Schwarber, Harris, Reynolds, and Lindor. 2 triples from Bregman and Kwan. Just stop. Just stop. It's too much. It's too much.
I mean, everybody got a hit. Like, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Hats off to you, Frank. It was a hell of a matchup. It was a hell of a Sunday and Saturday as well. I congratulate you on arguably the biggest regular season win of his Bigs career. Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Against Ben Nisman, I think this was an enormous win, for a much bigger win for Frank than a loss for Ben. Absolutely.
I agree. Frank definitely won where Ben did not lose this thing. And aside from maybe knocking James McCloskey out of the playoffs, I think this is the best win of his Bigs career. So again, hats off to you. We're going to move on to the next matchup here, and the next matchup is another really, really close matchup. And speaking of James McCloskey, it is his, and he gets a 12-9 win here over Kostas. I'll go ahead and share the screen here, because this one was pretty straightforward as we move.
Yeah, but it was tied 10-10 going into Sunday. So I imagine there were some stats that flipped here.
Yeah, I mean, so James was controlling most of it. Kostas did make a late comeback on Saturday, but at the end of the day, Sunday came and James put the hammer down. Home runs were tied, and you can see James took that. Kostas had a 9 2/3 inning lead, and look at this. James took it by an inning. Kostas also had a 5 strikeout lead, and James took that. But James also had a 2 walk advantage, and with all of these innings will come the walks. So he did give up enough to give that back to Kostas. Close categories this week. Kostas does win by those 3 walks. James wins by the homer, an inning pitched, and a relief appearance. They did not tie in anything. For Kostas on his bench this week, he goes 3 for 19, which is a 158 batting average, 3 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, a steal, 8 walks, and 2 errors. None of that plays at all. And if I'm honest, Kostas played a really clean week this week. He dropped Carlos Hernandez for Dylan Carlson, 0-4. Dropped Victor Gonzalez for Seth Brown, 0-3. Trevor Richards for Kerry Carpenter, 1-5, but 2 strikeouts. Those 3 guys were all on the 12th, and that's a combined 1-12 with 4 strikeouts. That's not great. He dropped Seth Brown for Sam Hentges, an inning, 2 earned with a homer. He dropped Trevor Rogers for Brad Boxberger, who was on the IL. He dropped Dylan Carlson for DJ LeMahieu, 1-4 with a 2-run homer and a strikeout. He dropped DJ LeMahieu for Jordan Hicks, who all of a sudden is now closing games in St. Louis. What?
Yeah, he got another one tonight. He pitched 3 days in a row and got a save in all 3 of them.
This guy just found the next St. Louis closer because Ryan Helsley's hurt. Is that how this is working?
Yeah, it is.
Good job, Kostas. Way to go, man. He dropped Kerry Carpenter for Drew Verhagen with a clean relief appearance, and then finally dropped Brad Boxberger back. So I asked the question, why'd you even pick him up in the first place? But
yeah,
that is what it is. His key players this week, JT Realmuto is the best catcher in baseball. 409 with a 519 on base, and he filled the stat line. 8 runs, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts. From a catcher.
2 triples. 2 triples by a catcher in 1 week.
Like, the only other catcher I could even see doing that are like MJ Melendez and Dalton Varsho, who don't even catch all the time.
They're not even catchers at all anymore.
They're outfielders.
Yeah.
Gross. Gross. The least valuable hitter is Giancarlo Stanton, a 100 with a 217, 2 runs, a homer, and RBI, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Man, the Yankees are a mess offensively without Judge, aren't they?
Yeah. When you're relying on Jake Bauers and Willie Calhoun, ouch.
Yeah, awful, awful. And listen, those 2 guys you just mentioned have been at least serviceable. Stanton,
oh, yeah.
Not exactly.
Bet you they miss Aaron Hicks, huh?
More than a little bit right now.
Yeah.
The Cy Young for him is Zach Gallen, as it is most weeks. 7 innings, a win, a bomb, 7 strikeouts, a 129, and an 086. The Cy Yuck is his brother, Logan Allen. Get it? Logan Allen and Zach Gallen. Logan Allen, 3 innings, 5 earned, a homer, 4 walks, and 2 strikeouts. That's a 15 ERA and a 267 whip. Gross. For James McCloskey on his bench, he goes 3 for 27, which is an even 1 for 9 and a 111. With an RBI, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error. Nothing plays there. Only a couple of moves this week. Dropped Will Brennan for Tommy Henry, 4 2/3, a bomb, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a 964, and a 214 whip. He dropped Ha-Sung Kim. He dropped Tommy Henry and Joey Wentz and added Edward Olivares for a 1 for 5. His key players this week, Shohei Ohtani might be the best player ever. Period.
Might be. Yeah. I mean,
like,
it's disgusting.
Yeah, and this week he took over the major league lead in homers because he hit 6 of them. 435 with a 588, 9 runs, 2 doubles, 6 bombs, 12 RBIs, a steal, 10 walks, and 5 strikeouts. They're walking him 10 times a week, and he's still hitting everything.
Have you ever seen double-digit home runs and walks in the same week?
I have not. I mean, that is just...
It's crazy.
He almost double-digited runs, RBIs, and walks in the same week, and I wonder how many strikeouts he had on the pitching side. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he had double-digit strikeouts this week, too... Forget it. This guy is he's a cheat code, and he's going to get a $500 million contract next year.
He struck out 6 in his start this week.
Okay. That's close enough in my book. The fact that he struck out any is better than any hitter. The least valuable hitter is now on the IL. It was Gene Segura, 167 with a 286 run and a walk. I believe he has since dropped that guy. So, he's looking for a new middle infielder, I guess. The Cy Young is going to be Jason Foley. 4 innings, 3 relief appearances, a save, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 050 whip. And the Cy Yuck is Tommy Henry. I already talked about him, which I find interesting. It's your husband's name and one guy in our league's name. Anybody with 2 first names is just the most ridiculous thing. Jason, where are we at with these guys? They're both pretty much in the middle, fighting for this 6th spot. We've got Kostas in 6 and James in 7. Gun to your head right now, which one of these guys makes the playoffs?
Oh, God. I almost take the bullet because I don't know. Like this cluster right here of like 4 through 8 is like just a mess. Mm-hmm. I feel like Kostas is just so hungry for it. I can't sleep on Kostas. He's just so he's so good. As long as he doesn't get in his own head, he's just so good. He knows how to do this game, and he wants it. He wants it so bad. gun to my head, my money would be on Kostas.
Okay. Because I'll be honest, if I look at these two teams side by side, I feel like the answer is James McCloskey. He's got the better offense with all of these hitters: Ohtani, Santander, Corey Seager, Dallas Garcia, Ryan Mountcastle will be coming off the IL. Hunter Renfroe is in this lineup. Alec Boehm is in this lineup. Sean Murphy's in this lineup. I feel like if he could just keep the pitching together with Kershaw, right, Gonsolin, Sonny Gray, and a bullpen with Kenley Jansen anchoring it, I feel like he can make some noise here. And gun to my head, I'll take him over Kostas, but these guys are playing their asses off right now.
Yeah. It's absolute dogfight right here in the middle of the standings right now. And like I said to Mike in the first show, it's anybody's game right now. Nobody's running away with this. It is really exciting. We're halfway through the season, and there is no clear picture as to what the playoffs are going to look like at all.
Yeah, usually we do have like some sort of runaway team or teams, or we start blocking each other, right? Like there's blocks of guys that we think are in one tier and then blocks of dudes in another tier. This is unlike any season I've ever seen in the bigs where everyone, for the most part, is in it.
Yeah,
even me down at the bottom in 12th, I'm still in this thing.
Yeah, there's even the team, right? Even those fringe teams down at the bottom are still in this because everybody's just so clumped together.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of some of those teams toward the bottom, let's go ahead and move on to the third matchup I'll be covering here tonight. That's going to be Henry Collins and Adam Lowenstein, who go to the 10-10 tie. Now,
I love it.
I'm not. Go ahead.
I know. I just love that the two newcomers this season are going first time they face each other, go to a 10-10 tie. That is just beautiful.
It just so eloquently fits this season when the two new guys come together against each other and they tie, and we've got all of these veterans going up against them, and they're making noise here. You want to say that they're 10th and 13th respectively, and both of them are under 500, but you know what? We've got dudes that have been here longer underneath them. I'm one of them. The fact that a four-time champion is behind Henry Collins as a rookie says something about this league and the depth.
And they're playing their asses off too. Like they're not just, they get the game. They get the game, and they're losing, but like they're not losing big, and
they're not embarrassing themselves.
Exactly.
Right. And credit again to our commissioner for finding these two guys and bringing them in and knowing that these are the two guys that will make this league deeper. We could have gone out and found somebody anywhere to fill the spot, but Ben was very patient this offseason and brought in the right two guys.
Yeah.
Now, I want to apologize to both of them as I did not take down their stats for Sunday, so I don't have what flipped and what changed there. But I have close categories, obviously. Henry wins by the steal, and he wins by the win. Adam by 2 strikeouts, the error, 2 losses, and a home run given up by a pitcher. They tied in triples with 2 because you get 2 triples and you still can't win the week because that's the bigs. For Henry on his bench this week, he went 6 for 45. That is a 133 batting average. I got to clap on that one because that is really solid. Really solid. 4 runs, a double, a homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, 6 walks, and 11 strikeouts. None of that plays. His moves this week, only 4 of them. He dropped Yainer Diaz for Jamison Tyone, dropped Albert Abreu for Clark Schmidt, dropped Mitch Garver for Yan Gomes, and dropped Yan Gomes for Nick Fortes. Both of those pitchers went on Sunday, and they weren't terrible, but they weren't great either. They did just enough to keep Henry in this thing and get him innings and wins and strikeouts and ERA and whip. He got those 5 categories by throwing those 2 guys. Hats off to you there. And Nick Fortes gave him an RBI and a 2 for 3. So good job. Good job. Henry has done really well streaming guys in his catcher spot, by the way,
Yes.
for what it's worth. Like, we've seen some big name catchers fall off, and none of them have gone to Henry because he's just churning through guys. So I want to give credit where it is. I gave him a lot of shit after the draft because he took Danny Jansen in the 18th and then took another catcher in like the 25th or 26th round. And I said, if you're going to do that at the back end, why are we fucking with Danny Jansen in the 18th? Well, at this point, he's figured out how to make that position work.
Yeah. I mean, just this week, right? Fortes, Young Gomes, Mitch Garver, and it's been all season. And he's done it very well.
Yes. His key players this week. Jason, did you know that Josh Naylor has 50 RBIs on the season?
I did not know that.
Josh Naylor has 50 RBIs on the season now. This week, 333 with a 333, 2 runs, a double, 5 RBIs, a steal, 4 strikeouts, and an error. But yeah, this dude, 288, 8 homers, 50 RBIs, and 5 steals.
And he got off to a really slow start.
Yeah.
He was
absolutely murdering it lately.
Yeah.
You know who's not murdering it? Willy Adames, 111 with a 111 and 3 strikeouts.
Yep.
Especially when you've got him in a rotation with guys like Perdomo and guys like Bryson Stott and Andres Jimenez. Sometimes he's just not going to hit, and you've got him in the right lineup at the wrong time. The other 3 all hit this week. So this was the week to play those guys. The Cy Young this week, I'm going to give it to Charlie Morton. 10 2/3, a win, a homer, 6 walks, 16 big strikeouts, a 2.53 and a 1.41. Ultimately, there wasn't one particular guy who stood out, but the 16 strikeouts led the team, and he won that category. He won ERA and WHIP. He won innings and wins. So this is the guy. The Cy Yuck is going to be Matt Strahm, wherever he is. 4 1/3, a homer, a walk, 3 strikeouts, an 8.31 and a 162. We could talk about Devin Williams, but he got him 2 saves and won the category, so I'm not gonna fight that one. For Adam on his bench this week, he goes 7 for 37, which is a 189 batting average. Again, hats off to you. You guys are playing the game really well. 6 runs, a double, a homer, 7 RBIs, 5 walks, 7 strikeouts, and an error. Again, none of that plays. The transactions this week for Adam. He dropped Riley Adams for Elias Diaz. That's another one of the catcher rotation that we've seen.
Yeah.
That guy that day, 1 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. He added Jake Fraley. He dropped Peter What's-His-Face for Ben Lively, 5 2/3 with a win, 4 strikeouts, a 3.18 and a 1.76. He dropped Andrew Heaney for Emmett Sheehan. Ordinarily, I'd play what team, but what team, Jason?
Well, if I'm playing Ben, the role of Ben, I'm gonna say the Long Island Ducks, because who else?
Okay. It's actually the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that dude threw 6 shutout innings for him.
Yep.
6 shutout, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Sick. He dropped Ben Lively for Zach Davies, who was dog piss. 3 2/3, a loss, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 1964 Lyndon B. Johnson era ERA, and a 2.73 WHIP. He then dropped Connor Joe. His MVP this week, we're going to talk about Manny Machado. Welcome back to the team, and welcome back to talking about you. 292, 280 on base, 3 runs, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and a steal with 5 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Jack Sawinski, 133 with a 350. He did hit 2 bombs with 2 RBIs, have 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. But the batting average is what he lost when, right? He lost batting average by a few ticks, and he won homers by a lot. So I'm not going to count that. However, did you know that Jack Sawinski has 15 homers?
You know what? I do, because I think he hit his 15th against the Mets, if I'm not mistaken, and it blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, this kid, again, was a piece in the Adam Frazier trade as Mike Yastrzemski just goes yard, and it's now 4-2 Padres. But yeah, like Sawinski was part of that Adam Frazier trade. He's a name that like nobody would have thought of. And here's Pittsburgh putting together all of these pieces from these trades the last few years, and this kid's doing really well.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
No, no. The Cy Young is the aforementioned Emmett Sheehan, and the Cy Yuck is Max Scherzer. 3 1/3, 2 bombs, 2 strikeouts, a 16.20 Mayflower ERA, and a 2.10 whip. Gross. Now, I'm not sure that these two rookies. Listen, I'm going to say this and it's going to come out wrong, but I'm just going to say it. I don't think either of these rookies are going to make the playoffs. I think it's too competitive a league. I think there's too many teams that are active, competitive, and fighting their asses off. But these are two teams that could spoil the fuck out of somebody's season.
Absolutely. And by next year could be in the playoff picture. Like, these are not two rookies who are just going to like hum and go it. Like, these guys are in it, and they're in it every day, making the moves. The benching is just remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
They get it. And even if they don't make the playoffs, they're like I said, they're going to spoil. They're going to be right there in the consolation bracket. Like, they're putting together two very solid rookie seasons, and I think they both need to be, happy with what they're doing.
Absolutely. The rookie of the year is usually one guy each year, right? Well, this year we've got a real race for the Bigs rookie of the year. And obviously whoever finishes above the other is in fact going to win that award. But it's going to be fun to watch this. It's going to be fun to watch this little race between these two new guys. And we have in fact confirmed that Adam Lowenstein texted Ben recently and was like, next year I'm going to have to do this, this, and this. So we know that guy's going to be back. It's feeling like Henry Collins is going to be back. Could we possibly be seeing a year where we get everybody 1 year over the next? That would be crazy. Make
it happen. Let's make it happen, guys.
Let's make it happen. That's going to bring us to the final matchup. Jason, you've got this one for me because it's mine.
I do have this one. Let's take a look here.
Share my screen here. I got it. I'll share the screen. You just keep on trucking.
All right. So yeah,
I do have the Sunday stats if you don't have them.
I do not. So you want to hit those?
Yeah.
Take them.
So on Sunday, Mike had a triple lead, and I tied him there. Walks were tied, and Mike got that. Errors were tied, and I got that because Mike gave that up. Mike had a 5-tick batting average advantage, and I took that. He had a 2-tick on base percentage lead, and I took that. He had a 5-inning lead, and I took that. Wins were tied, and I took 2 of those. And home runs by a pitcher, Mike had a 1 lead, and we tied there. All yours, buddy.
Yeah. And all I know is going into Sunday, Mike was up 14-4. So while by the numbers, no, you did not get the win this week, I think you look at this as a win this week.
Oh, no doubt.
For what it was.
No
so doubt. hats off to you for kicking that on Sunday.
Yeah.
For the close categories, for Mike Sherman, he wins by 3 homers by a batter, 5 RBIs, 2 walks by a batter, 6 strikeouts by a batter, and the loss. Joe, you win by the double, the error, 2 wins, 2 saves, and 4 relief appearances. And you guys tied in triples and home runs by a pitcher. All right, on Mike's bench. I don't know if you had this in front of you, so we're playing the game?
I don't. We're going to play the game for the final matchup.
Let's do it. 7 for 33.
All right, so 7 for 35 would be a 200, so it's a little bit better than that. I'm going to go like 218?
212.
Okay.
Yeah, in the ballpark. 212, 3 runs, a double, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. The only thing that plays is the double, which came on Friday. He had Jorge Mateo on the bench, but could have put him at utility or shortstop. That was the play. That was the only play. He used 6 ads. He added Brent Suter, Fuck Farmer, Adam Ottavino, Carl Edwards Jr., so 4 relievers, and then 2 hitters, Bo Naylor, and the red-hot Tommy Pham.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy was red hot. He got a 1-for-4 out of him with a bomb.
Yeah, and he was hitting again today too. So this guy's on fire right now.
Mhm.
Touch on his key players. His MVP for the week is, in fact, Ozzy Albies. 423 with a 484, 7 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable player is a former friend of yours, Mauricio Dubon. 150
Hey.
with 150 with a 150 on base, a run, a double, a homer, an RBI, and 4 strikeouts.
All right, that's what happened. That's what's supposed to happen when guys that are used to be on my team play against me. You know,
There you go.
Bregman lit me up. Yuri Perez is pitching his ass off, but here goes Mauricio Dubon.
Who's still getting playing time because Alvarez is out of the lineup, but he just hasn't found it. But on the pitching side, we're going to give the Cy Young to good old Jose Barrios. 7 2/3, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a .52 WHIP. That was against Baltimore. He's been really good lately, Barrios. He's really turned it around.
Yeah, he is figuring it out, and I mean they kind of need him to do that with Manoah in the minors.
Yeah, they need this guy, and he stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
The Cy Young is going to be Edward Cabrera. 4 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 11.25 ERA, a 1.75 WHIP, and a trip to the IL.
Yuck.
Yeah, not fun.
And that kid's been especially good recently too, with pitching as well as he has. He finally started to figure it out and get his walk situation under control, and now here we are with a right shoulder problem. So
yeah. That's a red flag. In fact, is what they wrote on the update for his IL placement. They said so there you go.
Yeah.
All right, sir, your turn. On your bench.
All right.
3 for 14.
Okay, so 3 for 15 would be a 200, so it's going to be slightly worse than that. I think I'll go with 218.
214.
Okay.
You're right there.
I'm right in the ballpark.
2 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, an RBI, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The 3 walks is the only thing that plays.
It would have to be perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Use all 12 of your ads. 6 on relievers: Justin Topa, Adam Ottavino, Victor Gonzalez, Trevor May, Shelby Miller, and Tucker Davidson. 2 hitters.
Trevor May's closing games for the awful Oakland Athletics, by the way.
Yeah, like there's another Met outcast that becomes a closer.
Yeah.
2 hitters in Jose Siri and Seth Brown, speaking of the A's. And 4 starters: Tyler Anderson, Dustin May, Reese Olson, and fuck you, Freddie Peralta.
Fuck me, Freddie Peralta off of waivers. I trade away Sandy, and somehow I still end up with Freddie Peralta. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Me and Mike talked about it on the first show, and the fact that he even hit the waiver wire, I was just like, no, because I knew it was either going to be you or Mike or like somebody was going to get him, and it wasn't.
It turned out being you, me, and Josh putting in waiver claims on him.
It was interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't think I would get him, honestly. I thought somebody higher up would go get him. I'm waiting to see what somebody like Ben or someone like Henry or those guys are going to end up waiting on, because if it's not Freddie Peralta, who's it going to be?
Right. I mean, no, Peralta's been struggling this year, but it's still Freddie Peralta. Like, he's going to get you strikeouts. He's going to get you innings. He's going to figure it out. So
yeah, and he's a perfect replacement for Sandy right now. They're literally, if you look at their stats, they're very similar right now.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, you also did make that trade, trading Sandy to Josh for Evan Phillips and Bruiser Gratterall. We talked about this on the opening show, but give me your feelings.
Sandy, I just don't I bought him in the second round when everyone was running off of their aces, right? And if I'm honest with myself, if I had it to do over again, I probably wouldn't have taken him there. I probably wouldn't have taken a pitcher in that round, but I felt like I had to, because I didn't know how many more of the 5 guys behind me were going to take starters And then how many of them would take starters on the way back? So I had to get a guy. The problem is I bought him off of a career year, and there's no way he was going to be better. I have what I think is a pretty solid staff now after going out and getting Bassett and Lopez and all of the other names that are in my rotation. I just had a glut of starting pitchers. And the name Sandy Alcantara still carries enough weight for me to fix the only glaring weakness left on my team, which was the bullpen. It was Paul Sewald and Miguel Castro and a carousel of dummies. Right? Now I at least put together 4 guys that I believe in, 5 when you add Shelby Miller to that group now. So those 5 guys are going to be it. And now I can do a rolling rotation of starter relievers and other relievers in my P spot. I said P spot. For what it's worth, I did get some very negative feedback from one particular person, but at the end of the day, like, I just needed to solidify this bullpen. My offense is fine. It's going to hit. My pitching staff, I'm going to be fine with all of the starters I have. Because, by the way, I also have Seth Lugo coming back after I traded him away a few months ago. So I'm going to be fine on the pitching side. I could stand to shed Sandy. He was the best thing I had. And I wasn't going to get a combo closer duo for anybody else.
Right. It's funny. You mentioned, so we mentioned 3 Dodgers here. We mentioned Phillips, Guerrero, and Shelby Miller.
Mm-hmm.
In talking with Mike, he brings up the fact that as soon as you made that trade, Josh went ahead and picked up Daniel Hudson, who
I was so mad at him. I was so mad at him. Oh my God, I was so mad at him. I was getting ready to key up that move too to drop him in my IL, and I see it go off the board, and I even texted him. I was like, "You son of a bitch!"
Yeah. So he still has access to the Dodger saves, and it could be him.
He also has Caleb Ferguson, I think, still on that roster. So like, he didn't trade off all of the Dodgers dudes.
Right. So it's going to be that carousel, just adding another name in it with Hudson coming back, but it's going to be the carousel of dudes, and any of those guys can be getting you saves at any moment.
Absolutely.
Let's hit on your key players this week.
Right.
For your MVP, we're giving it to Jordan Walker here, 381 average with 480 on base, 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. That's a whole lot of numbers.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm so glad I was patient with this kid. He's going to have a monster second half. I think that the Cardinals are going to end up trading an outfielder like Juan Yepes or Lars Nootbaar or Dylan Carlson or any of the other guys, but this kid's going nowhere. This kid's going to be one of their outfielders. You know what would be great is if he started in center field 5 times. That would be fantastic.
Don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
For your least valuable hitter, it's going to be Alejandro Kirk, who is no longer on the team and is no longer healthy. 214 with a 267, 3 RBIs, and a strikeout. It says here it was going to be Kalenic, but Sunday's triple was huge. Shout outs to Yandy Diaz, Eloy, Mookie Betts, who all had mediocre weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest offensive week, but it was just good enough to give me enough categories to make it respectable.
Right.
And as for Kirk, I mean, I love to find him on the waiver wire. That was awesome. And then all of a sudden he like slices his hand open on a foul tip and is hitting the IL. And oh, look what I found. This used William Contreras sitting around. Come on, guys.
Just keep giving them the catchers.
Yeah. And if everybody else is going to do rolling rotation, well, I'll go ahead and take the best guys that are out there, and you guys can keep playing with the scrap heap.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Evan Phillips, he's going to be the Cy Young this week. 4 innings, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, a .25 whip over 3 relief appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Says here, starters were really bad this week, but Phillips was great.
Yeah.
Speaking of not great starters, Chris Bassett, 6 2/3, a loss, 3 homers, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 14.85 ERA and a 3.30 WHIP. Well, That's over
He
two
got
starts.
absolutely bombed in both of his starts, but he got bombed worse against Baltimore when he gave up three home runs. But this is all after the 8-inning beautiful performance against Houston. So like, I'm believing in this guy. I think he's going to bounce back here in this start against Oakland. So let's go, Chris Bassett.
I mean,
You're kind of my ace now. I don't think I have what one would call an ace. I just have like a really good set of 2s and 3s.
yeah, which honestly, like, can be just as effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, look, yes, 12th.
I'm not a
12th
playoff
place.
team, Jason. I'm not a playoff team this year. I'm not going to make it. And that's okay.
You
The
say,
streak's going
okay,
to end.
we're putting that down on June 19th, but you know
June
what?
19th,
There's still 3+ months left to go. Like,
and that's okay. Here's what I recognize. I recognize, number one, that there are 14 competitive teams in this league this year. And there's a 15th that I think is going to be competitive, but doesn't have the pieces to make it work. And then Matt Losey, who right now doesn't appear to be competitive right now.
yeah.
Of those 14 teams that are potential playoff teams, I don't think that this roster is. How is it that I've got 3 dudes in the top and middle of a lineup that has won 50 games, and I can't get 5 days a week out of these guys? I picked the wrong team to go after. I picked the wrong pitchers to draft. It's just a bad season for me, and that's okay because I'm going to be the most dangerous fucking spoiler you will ever fucking know. And if by some freak of nature I end up getting a 10th straight playoff appearance, then that's more a testament to the league collapsing around me. There's too many teams for me to jump over the next 10 or 11 weeks to get there. And the story right now is so much better without me sitting on top, isn't it?
I mean, it definitely is a different look. It is absolutely a different look. But it gives, look, like I said, I mean, okay, 1, 2, 3, Josh or Mike, Josh, and Ben. Like, I think
that's the old guard.
Safe.
That's
those
the old
3
guard.
are safe, right? But from Frank to Brian Lebo, like, even Henry is only a half a game behind Brian Lebo.
Exactly.
It's still so clustered together.
I'm only 13 under. Here's what I'll say. I'm only 13 under. But there's enough teams in front of me that I don't think I'm going to be able to leapfrog 6 of them. Like 6 of them have to fall apart in some form or fashion, or I have to get so ridiculously hot that I jump 6 of them. Could it happen? Sure. But the writing's on the wall here. And if Frank Bucco, Kostas Paragios, Bobby Russo, Henry Collins, if any of the Brian Lebo, if these dudes make the playoffs because I'm not up there, that's a better story for 1 year. That being said, watch out next year. And it is kind of fitting that the last time I missed the playoffs was 2013. So if I have the 3s as bad seasons, I'll take it.
Which, by the way, on a side note, 2013 was the last time that this guy was in New York. So maybe there's some poetic justice there.
There's something to it, man. There is something to it. As for Mike Sherman, listen, Mike Sherman is a hell of a competitor, and I saw him busting his ass this week. When it was 14-4 on Saturday, I sent him a message. I was like, please just murder me. Please just make this absolutely a staple win for you. Jump up the standings and put me down. Like, I'm telling you guys out there, I'm getting everybody's best every single week. It was a wrong week to face Mike Sherman because up until Friday, he was hitting like 350, and then his team just went to sleep. It was the wrong week to face Henry Collins last week. It was the wrong week to face Frank Bucco the week before that. And it was the wrong week to face the guy I faced before that because I've now lost 4 in a row. I haven't lost 4 in a row in quite a while.
Yeah. And obviously the one to Frank was the doozy.
Oh, but, yeah.
You know, I just think it's just so early. But
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. The records for the week here, Jason. Only 2 of them were set, and I mentioned one earlier. Frank and Ben set the relief appearance record at 26 for this season. Huge number. Yet it's not an unbreakable number if somebody really wants to try that. And if they try hard enough, you use all 12 moves on your relievers, you keep rotating them through. There's a possibility one could make the minimum with only like 2 starts if they tried that hard.
It's just so tough because you know when a starter is going to start. You don't know when a reliever is going to come in.
Exactly. You have to get it right every single time. In order to do this, you would have to get it right every single time. You would have to do 1 to 2 relievers a day and get them right every single time.
Good luck.
It's just not going to happen, but mathematically it probably could.
Yeah.
The other record that was set, Bobby Russo set the doubles record for 2023. He hit 22 fucking doubles this week.
Yeah, he did. We covered that in the first half, and what a week he put on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it is now time for managers of the week. I do, in fact, have Ben's here in front of me. I'm going to run through them rather quickly. Ben's number 3 manager is Brian Lebo. What a strong performance he put up this week, getting it looks like he got himself an 11-8 win over Christian. Just a solid win, keeping himself above, right around 500 and keeping himself in the fight. My number 3 goes to Frank Bucco, and I know that Frank probably thinks he should be a little bit higher on this list, and Ben does not have him on the list. So I just want to say that Frank has put together a tremendous team for this season. He had a very, very great Sunday, but if we're honest, it was a whole lot of luck. Michael Harris going 5 for 5, getting 4 homers and 2 triples. Like, that is just one of those, you put together a great team that went off all together in one day. It's more luck than it is skill, but the skill is on the overall season where he's 16 over and in 4th place. And if we're honest, looks like he's won every trade he's made.
Yeah.
So hats off to you, Frank. I wanted to at least give acknowledgement to that. The number 2 manager of the week for both of us is Mike Sherman. And Sherman put up a hell of a week. He dominated me for 6 days and then absolutely fell apart on Sunday. I put up a decent Sunday and was able to mitigate this thing to a 10-9. I was saying to Ben, if I could get 7, I'd be happy. I'm thrilled it's 10-9. But Sherman played a hell of a week, worked his ass off, and I don't think he's used that many moves at all this season in a single week. So I'll take that. That. Jason, you know what's great about this? Is that we also have the same number 1.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's you. Because that win, sir, was quite a nice one. I'm sure you gloated about it on the other show, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to do it as well.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a fun matchup. Me and Josh were texting all week long, and we were going back and forth all week long. And honestly, and I said this to Mike on Sunday, I was at softball all day. I didn't even look at my phone hardly at all. And he texted me like around probably like 4:00 my time saying, congrats on the win. I'm like, shit, I won. I had no idea because I was losing coming in. I had no idea. And then I looked it up and I was like, there it is. It was just a phenomenal matchup. And Josh, thanks for a great week.
Oh, man, a 2.36 ERA across 80 innings. That's gorgeous, man. And the fact that, like, both of your offenses didn't hit a whole lot of power numbers, the 6 and 3 homers and only 25 and 20 or 24 and 23 RBIs aren't great, but that's not what your team is built for. Your team is built around speed. And I'm shocked to see that you only got 5 steals this week. I do have to ask you a question. We talked about Esteury Ruiz as the guy that you traded away, but you also traded away Wander Franco, and that's 50 total steals so far, man.
Yeah, I'm still feeling like Yelich was stealing bases, Varsho was stealing bases. J-Rod steals bases. Like I felt like I was still had enough speed on this team to mitigate that. Am I gonna miss it? Yeah, but it was such a nice thing to have for the first quarter of the season or whatever it was. But I think I'll be all right.
Okay. And listen, you're one over, you're in 8th place, you're right in this fight too. I would
Yep.
love to see you sneak into this thing, but listen, anybody who's going to make the playoffs in this league this season is going to fucking earn it.
Yes.
There are 14 competitive teams, a 15th competitive bad team, and Matt Losey. This season is unlike anything I have seen before in this league. We usually, like I said in the open, have clumps of dudes or have one runaway team. We do not have that this year. We are not going to have that this year. And I love it because we are this close to a full 16. Could you imagine if all 16 are in the hunt until the final weeks? Like that's how we're this close to that.
Yeah.
Insane. Jason, I thank you so much, man. Thanks so much for stepping in for us and double dipping here.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it. Again, Ben, get better. Pump yourself with vitamin C and get yourself healthy, man. I gotta see you in a week.
Yeah, he's on antibiotics right now. He is crushing out the medicine to try to get well. I did just see him walk down the hallway, so I will be checking in on him here shortly. I'm sure he's listening and following along. I think that's what's happening right now, but he does not have a voice. He absolutely cannot talk right now. It's just so raspy and torn apart. So I wish him all the best, and I will keep you guys updated on how he is feeling. Until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you guys next time.